In a crowded grocery store, an older stocker knocks over a tower of sauce and is publicly shamed by a manager as bystanders start filming. A delivery driver stops his route, pays for the losses out of pocket, and cleans the mess with him, risking his own bonus and schedule. The quiet help ripples through the staff and customers, changing how people act in small ways without fixing everything. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. On Tuesday, the grocery store hummed under cheap lights. The air smelled like oranges and bleach. Fluorescent tubes buzzed like bees. A thin older man in a green apron knelt in the pasta aisle, turning each jar so the labels faced out. He used the pad of his thumb to wipe a smudge off one cap. He had a small limp that made his steps quiet. People pushed carts around him as if he were a display. He said sorry 3 times for being in the way. A toddler in a puffy jacket stared at him from a cart seat. The child pointed at the red sauce like it was a wall of suns. The older man smiled and showed the kid a jar with a cartoon tomato on it. "Hello there," he said, voice soft. He set the jar right where it belonged. He liked it when the rows were straight. It made the aisle feel less loud. The rain outside made the doors cough open and shut. By 6, the place was packed. An announcement about a sale on grapes crackled over the speakers. Someone bumped his shoulder with a cart. He kept his head down and kept lining jars. When he finished the bottom row, he stood slow. His knee didn't like to do that anymore. Pressure came fast, like weather changing. A cartwheel squeaked. A stack of sauce on the end cap wobbled. Just a tremor. The older man reached for it. The tower decided to go. One jar slid, then another. Glass hit tile. The first smash was small. The second sounded like a plate thrown across a room. Red sauce fanned across the white floor like paint. "Bro," a college kid said, "phone up." The kid's jacket puffed out like a sleeping bag. Dude dropped the whole thing. The manager came fast, clipboard in hand. She had a black blazer over her polo. Like she was 2 people. "We talked about pace," she said, eyes on the mess. "You can't take all night, and we need a safety cone." She looked at the glass spread, red sauce glistening. "This is a write-up." The older man's palm stung. A thin line of blood showed where a shard had kissed him. He tucked his hand against his apron. "I can fix it," he said. He bent with a rag, then froze. There were a lot of pieces. Somebody's shoe squeaked in the sauce and left a red crescent moon. A woman with a toddler frowned at the phone kid. "Hey," she said, "don't." The kid lowered the phone halfway and then raised it again, unsure. People slowed their carts to stare. The aisle went tight. You could hear the beeps at the registers like they were next to your ear. A stocky young man in a navy delivery jacket turned the corner with a loaded hand truck. Shrink-wrapped boxes leaned like a small tower against his chest. A scanner clipped to his belt blinked green. He took in the mess in one breath. He parked the hand truck with a heel tap. "Give me the broom," he said. "Give me the broom," he said. His voice wasn't loud. It was sure. The manager blinked. "This isn't your area," she said. "We have process." She held her clipboard like a shield. The delivery driver was already moving. He reached for the yellow cone by the freezer and set it down, the little man on the sign slipping forever. He grabbed the broom from beside the floral display. He looked at the older man's hand. "You're bleeding," he said. "Hold that." He saw the rag was already red. "I can fix it," the older man said. He sounded like someone being gentle with a dog. "Let me," the delivery driver said. He slipped off his jacket in one motion and set it on the shelf edge, careful not to smear the sauce. His arms were strong, tattoos peeking at the sleeves. He moved careful, like he had done this before. Broken glass slid across wet tile and made a different kind of sound. He drew it into piles big enough to lift, used the dustpan, kept his fingers safe. A grape rolled through the red and came out like a marble. "What are you doing?" the manager said, like she'd swallowed a lemon. "This is product loss. Put it on my route," the driver said. He glanced up, not stopping. "Short me, whatever. It's a few cases." He reached for a roll of paper towels and tore it with his teeth. "You can't just," the manager started. "I can," he said. "I am." He swept again. He had fast hands that still seemed easy. The woman with the toddler slid her cart back. "Careful," she told the kid. The toddler planted a hand over one eye and watched with the other, serious. The college kid's phone slipped down to his side. He pocketed it. He grabbed a pack of wipes from a low shelf and cracked it open. He looked at the driver. like asking for permission. The driver nodded, and the kid started wiping sauce off the baseboards. "My bad," the kid said. He said it to the room. The store changed shape. The aisle didn't feel like a hallway anymore. People backed up and went around. A deli worker brought a pack of bandages over. She didn't say a word. She peeled one open and handed it to the older man. He pressed it to his palm, and the bleed slowed. The driver's phone buzzed on his belt. He answered with a shoulder. "Yeah," he said, eyes on the floor. "Yeah, I'm delayed. Put a note on 32. Dock me if you have to." He hung up and kept going. The manager's shoulders dropped a little. She took a step back. "I'll get gloves," she said quietly. She left the clipboard by the cart. When the glass was corralled and the sauce was a thin pink film instead of a lake, the driver glanced at the older man. "Sit a second," he said. He pointed at a sealed box of paper towels against the end cap. The older man sat. He had that posture you get when people stand over you a lot. He looked at the floor like it was telling him something. The driver jogged to the pharmacy aisle, grabbed a tube of antibiotic ointment, grabbed bandages, a cheap pack of gloves, and a small bottle of water. He set them down by the man and ripped the package with his teeth again. He wasn't gentle like a nurse, but he was careful. He cleaned the cut. He used more bandage than most people would. He wrapped the hand like it held something important. "Anyway," he said, "not my first mess." He smiled a small smile like he had learned to save his big ones. "Who's paying for all that?" the manager said when she came back with gloves. "I am," the driver said. He tapped his card at self-checkout with the stuff balanced on his hip. The machine chirped. He tossed the bag in the trash and brought the supplies back without the receipt. He didn't wave it around. He didn't look for eyes. The aisle sighed. The deli worker started mopping the pink film into the drain. The college kid got under the shelf with the wipes, sleeves pushed up. The woman with the toddler handed the older man the water. "For later?" she said. "You're good?" "I'm good," the older man said. His voice wobbled. He looked at his hands. One had a bandage. One held the water like a small gift. The manager looked at the smashed end cap, then at the line of jars that still stood. Her mouth didn't look tight anymore. "We have a new cutter," she said, "with a guard. You can take it tonight." She cleared her throat. "No write-up." She said it like she'd made a deal with herself, and then she walked away with the clipboard under her arm, not hugging it so hard. The driver eased down on the box next to the older man. The hand truck leaned against the shelves, tilted a little like a resting bike. "You like this brand?" he asked, nodding at the cartoon tomato. "The green label is easier to reach," the older man said. "My need is not like the bottom shelf. The kids go for the red. The sauce is the same." He smiled without showing teeth. "Thank you," he said. He didn't stack the thank yous. He set one down and left it there. "Yeah," the driver said. He wiped his own hands on a paper towel and looked at the clock by the pharmacy. "I'm probably losing my on-time bonus," he said, not as a complaint. "It's fine. My kid likes pasta anyway. I'll just be quick at the next stop." He paused. "She eats the sauce with a spoon first. Says that's the taste test." He smiled for real at the thought. "You have a kid?" the older man asked. "One," the driver said. "She's 8. Fridays are mine. We watch these awful cooking shows. People make cakes shaped like sneakers." He laughed a little, then let it go. The older man nodded like that tracked. He pressed the bandage at the edge, testing it. "I send money to my sister," he said. "She has a little boy." He didn't say where. He didn't say why. "I need the hours." He looked down the aisle, then back. "I can be slow," he said. His face looked like a closed hand opening. The driver tilted his head. "I'm on my last warning for being late," he said. "Dispatch is a hawk. But this is... I don't know." He let the sentence end on its own. He glanced at the pink film drying on the tile. Clean enough. He stood and offered the older man a palm. "You want me to restock the end cap? I'd do it," the older man said. He stood with a small grunt, leaning once on the box. The driver didn't hover. He just picked up 2 jars, passed them over. Then 2 more, like a slow dance you learn as you go. The toddler clapped. The woman smiled without her mouth. The college kid kept wiping until the underside of the shelf was better than it had been in a year. He put 2 jars back where they belonged without taking a selfie. He tucked the open wipes behind the sign that said seasonals, for someone later. The deli worker pushed the mop bucket back to the tile. She nodded at the older man like she was seeing him for the first time. "Hey," she said. "Bandages are under the sink. The good ones." She left the mop near him, not in a corner. like a tool within reach. At the registers, a teenager in a store cap watched the driver with big eyes. He was bagging cereal like it was a job that mattered. He held the paper bags with both hands. When the driver wrestled the hand truck back upright, the teenager jogged over and held the automatic door button down so it wouldn't close on the boxes. "You good?" he asked. "I'm good," the driver said. He nudged the door with his shoulder and waved the kid off with his chin. He moved the load out to the rain, plastic shrieking on wet metal. The manager came back with a small cardboard box. It had a new cutter with a bright orange guard and a roll of caution tape. She set it on the shelf without a speech. "Grab that," she said to the older man, "and take a break." The words came out like something she'd been practicing and had finally gotten right. She walked away and picked up a stray grape with her bare hand. In the break room, the older man rinsed his palm in a tiny sink with a slow drain. The driver stood by the door, half in, half out, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed. The room smelled like microwaved fish from lunch 3 days ago. A bulletin board held old party flyers with curling corners. "You shouldn't have done that," the older man said, not mad. "The money." "Yeah," the driver said, "probably." He leaned his shoulder against the door. "I'm behind on some things. But, like, not that behind." He shrugged. "I'll pick up an extra shift Sunday." He scratched his neck. "Don't tell my kid I said that on my week." He smiled again. It didn't hide the tired under his eyes. The older man nodded. He didn't offer to pay him back. He didn't say he would bake him something. He didn't file it into a ledger. He just held the water bottle and set it on the table when he was done. He kept the cap. Habit. Back on the floor, the end cap stood straight again. The sign had sauce dots on it like freckles. The aisle felt bigger. The store hummed in a lower key. The college kid moved faster at the self-checkout, like he had a bus to catch. He put back a snack he had opened and not bought. He caught the older man's eye and lifted a hand. It was not an apology or a wave. It was something smaller and better. The woman with the toddler grabbed a pack of almonds by the registers and put an extra $1 into the little plastic box by the lottery tickets that said donations. She wrapped it in a sticky note that read for bandages because her kid liked stickers. She left before anyone could say anything about it. The teenager in the cap taped a handwritten sign under the counter that said, "Clean up on me," with an arrow pointing down, a joke that made the other baggers laugh and made cleanup kits easier to find. He said to the other kid, "Don't film people when they bleed." "Man." The other kid rolled his eyes and then didn't pick up his phone when it buzzed. Later that week, a paper cup showed up by the time clock with a marker line that said blisters plus cuts. It filled with random Band-Aids and packets of sugar used as ice. No one said who started it. The older man took one when he needed it and put one back when he found one in a coat pocket. The driver's route map got an extra red dot with the store's name on Fridays. He didn't get his bonus back. He did get a jar of the green label sauce handed to him at the dock by the deli worker, taped with a note that said, "Try the taste test." It made him snort laugh in the cab of his truck. He sent a picture of it to a number he had labeled Small Boss and drove to his next stop. A week later, the manager walked around with a roll of caution tape on her wrist. She put cones out early. She smiled at no one, but she did a thing with her chin that red does not mean anymore. She fired the clipboard for a day and got her hands wet. None of this fixed the rent or the knee or the warnings on a driver's profile. The lights still buzzed. The grapes still went on sale. It didn't make a new world. It made a night easier. In places like this, things break. People do too, a little, from standing and lifting and being looked at like fixtures. You keep going. You clean. You stack. You try to leave a row better than you found it. Some nights, someone pays for the mess they didn't make. Some nights, everyone else takes a step back so one person can sit with a bandage and a water and not lose an hour. The rain outside slowed to a mist. The glass doors breathed. The older man lifted the last jar onto the shelf. His bandaged hand was steady. The label lined up with the others and clicked lightly as it touched. One red circle in a clean, straight row.